One Punch Man just did something very confusing and unexpected. If you guys haven't seen yet, volume 33 of the manga has released in Japan, and aside from the incredible volume cover of Saitama and the additional art that we got from Murata that wasn't in previous manga chapters when they originally released, we also get a bonus chapter, and not just any bonus chapter, this one is covering Drive Knight. It's entirely about him. And if you've been a One Punch Man fan for any amount of time, you know that Drive Knight is a very contentious character, a very controversial one. There's a big portion of the fan base that thinks that Drive Knight is just some calm, cool, collected type of hero. Doesn't say much, but always shows up to take care of business. Nothing really nefarious behind him. But there's also another side of the fan base that thinks that Drive Knight is actually evil, that he's been behind a lot of the bad things that have happened with the Hero Association as of late. He's done some very suspicious or seemingly suspicious things in every one of his appearances in the manga so far. From warning Genos to view Metal Knight as his enemy, to the cold-hearted way that he fought during the Monster Association, where he pretty much let a bunch of other smaller heroes get beat up by Dragon Level Monster Neon, just for him to devise a plan in order to defeat him himself. And also with the weird questions he was asking, like if the Hero Association was under attack, would Blast show up? Like he was kind of like gauging whether or not it would be safe to attack it in the first place. These are all little things that I think were planted to do this very thing, to keep people guessing, to keep people wondering whether or not he is actually a good character. But this latest bonus chapter, Whispers of the Night, does something very unexpected. It paints Drive Knight in a light that we haven't seen before, and it like really makes us question whether or not Drive Knight is actually a bad guy. Because there are people that go as far as to say that he is actually the Mad Cyborg, the same Mad Cyborg that destroyed Genos' town and killed his whole family. Originally, I was pretty much completely convinced that he was an evil character. Maybe not the Mad Cyborg, but someone that we definitely should be weary of. But with this bonus chapter, especially the very end of it, again, it just left me questioning what I originally thought about him. So today we're going to kind of read through the bonus chapter together. So this bonus chapter is titled Whispers of the Night, and it starts off with Drive Knight confronting a pack of monsters, and they're all super scared at the very sight of him, saying, "Oh no, it's the worst of the worst. That guy has shown up. He's the relentless knight of ruthlessness, the elusive knight of mystery, the knight who makes a late appearance, the knight who hunts down the weak, the secretive knight of the shadows." He's kind of built up this urban legend amongst the monsters themselves, kind of in the same way that he has for us. We don't know what he's really about. His mystery kind of adds to his like intimidation factor. And after this, we get this like breakdown of Drive Knight and kind of all the controversy or uncertainty that surrounds him with like the public and the media. So the narration continues by saying, since registering on the hero roster 2.5 years ago, he boasts a flawless victory rate of 100%. However, the image he projects is less about fighting and more about extermination or elimination. And then it goes into what a certain hero critic has to say about him. If he can overcome his mental weakness of only challenging those who he knows he can defeat, he might just have the potential to break into the top 3. But his behavior and promotion as a hero are pretty abysmal. Facing a reporter who recently charged in with a provocative comment, Drive Knight offered nothing but a single retort, which is when he said, "Whatever, it's just the way that I fight." The cold and dismissive response has stirred up public unrest. So here it's kind of confirming that Drive Knight's the type of guy that we kind of already knew that he was, that he seems to only go into fights that he knows he's going to win for 100% or have a high percentage of winning. He seems like a guy that really plays with probability and doesn't seem to take many chances. He's also, of course, had this cold indifference that we've seen him have every single time we've seen him in the manga. He acts this way to pretty much everyone. And of course, this coldness, especially as a hero, an S-rank hero, leaves people really unsettled. So the narration continues. His fan service is non-existent. He's never once obliged for autographs or photos. Plus, during battles, a unique kind of noise messes with nearby electronics, leaving us with zero footage of his heroic deeds. So chances to actually see him in action are as rare as a shooting star. And this is a very interesting little detail because that's not something I was aware of, or I don't think anyone was aware of. That Drive Knight has the ability to kind of let out a certain frequency that shuts off electronics. I don't know about you guys, but that seems like a very sketchy ability to me, you know? Sure, he likes to be secretive and not give away too much information, but I feel like this is taking things like a step too far. And he would only use something like this if he really had something to hide. Or maybe, seeing as how he sees Metal Knight as a threat, and he knows that Metal Knight pretty much has eyes everywhere, this is kind of his way of combating that, to make sure that Metal Knight doesn't steal any of his battle data or anything like that. Or also, he might be aware of the organization as well, and might not want them to steal his battle data either. Because we gotta remember that the organization organization is this lingering threat in the background that really hasn't shown its face in the series much, unless it's some kind of like crucial moment or pivotal situations, like all the machine gods during the Monster Association arc. But continuing with the narration, among hero fans, opinions were already split. Some say he has a mysterious charm, while others wonder, is he really even doing anything? The lack of information can often spiral into nasty rumors. And then it kind of cuts to what people have to say behind his back. Something about that guy feels off, doesn't it? Is he even human? There's just too much mystery surrounding him. I can't seem to form any attachment, and the vibe is downright eerie. I've heard that after battling the villain, he just left fallen heroes behind and walked away without any second thought. Could it be that he's actually one of the bad guys? Is he really okay? And the interesting part is that I feel like a lot of these comments that like fans and people within the series are kind of giving are very similar to the thoughts and opinions that a lot of the fan base has of him as well. They aren't really sure about him. They've seen some sketchy situations that he's been involved in, some sketchy ways that he's handled things. So it's really hard to pinpoint what kind of guy he is. Well, that starts to kind of change as this chapter goes along. Our investigative team, after extensive negotiations, finally secured permission for an exclusive filming session. Though he appears stoic and reserved, his unwavering priority during filming is the safety of our crew, revealing his sensible nature. While we can't publicly share it, we believe his true appearance is nothing short of breathtakingly handsome. On the morning of our first day of filming, he caught wind of a monster sighting during patrol and rushed to the scene. He arrived before anyone else, swiftly defeating the monster without allowing it a moment's respite, tending to the injured right after, and then, with a cool detachment, left the scene. When we inquired about his reasons, he simply stated, "I'm not comfortable being thanked for doing what should be expected." The truth behind this so-called cold demeanor of this man is a wellspring of humanity. The compassionate knight rescuing stray cats, the gallant knight helping elderly with their burdens, the noble knight donating anonymously to charitable organizations, the brave knight advocating strongly for tax reductions with the bigwigs of the government, the valiant knight escorting lost children to the police box. He fights today as well to protect the peace of the world. No matter how others see him, he solely follows his own sense of justice. Until the day the threat of villains is completely erased, I shall remain a true knight, dedicated to serving the citizens. And at the end of all this, we come to find out that this is like a documentary made about Drive Knight. And there's a lot to unpack with everything that, is claimed that he does behind the scenes. Like, for example, they apparently got to look at him, and I don't know if it's like them just seeing him up close in person or them actually seeing his face, but them calling him overwhelmingly handsome is super weird, in my opinion. Like, why is it necessary to add that in? And also, it's very hard for me to believe that he does all of this, like, really kind stuff behind the scenes, like helping cats from trees, helping old ladies, literally talking to the government itself to reduce taxes for everybody. Like, I feel like this is a very exaggerated fluff piece on Drive Knight, but at the same time, it does leave some seeds of doubt because like why is this even in a bonus chapter? Is it to throw off people even more? Is it like Murata and One's way of showing us like, hey guys, like he really isn't the mad cyborg, he really isn't evil, he's just a really cool and quiet hero. But things get even more confusing for the very end of this chapter because it cuts away to Sitch watching this whole documentary, and he himself seems like very confused about what he's watching. And he has Drive Knight in the same room with him. He says, apparently the latest buzz is spreading like wildfire. If it's not fake, who is behind this video release? Did you really give permission for such close coverage? And I think this might be Sitch kind of internally thinking to himself, like the same way a lot of readers would be reading this bonus chapter. Did I myself get the wrong impression of Drive Knight? Did I also have this bias thinking that he was low-key kind of evil and he's actually a good guy? But then the final panel of this chapter it says something very telling, I think. Because I think this is Drive Knight saying, this is just another way I choose to fight. And if you really think about it, look, Drive Knight is a very tactical guy. He's a very practical one. He'll do whatever it takes to give himself an advantage, it seems like. So I wouldn't put it past him to fabricate this entire documentary series that paints him in a good light just to win over the public and get people off his back. It's also possible that when he got confronted by that reporter and got questioned, the time that he just responded by saying, whatever, this is just how I choose to fight, it's maybe when he thought like, hey, maybe I gotta camouflage myself a little better and save face in front of the public so I can kind of stay behind the scenes. So again, this all could have just been a fabrication of Drive Knight to get people kind of off of his back, right? And this would support the idea that he really is still evil, that he's trying to not be noticed because he's doing some nefarious stuff in the background. I don't know, it's kind of up to you to decide, but for me, it kind of did leave some some doubts in me, wondering if Drive Knight really is such a bad guy. Because of course this all could just be fabricated, but at the same time, him saying this is just another way I choose to fight could be him just acknowledging like, hey, I'm a hero and I know I'm just supposed to protect the public and defeat monsters, but I'm also supposed to make the public feel at ease and give them hope that heroes are out there in their best interests. So there's two different ways that you can take this, much like pretty much everything we've ever seen from Drive Knight. And if you guys are readers of the webcomic, you know that he plays a much bigger role, really, as this Neo Heroes arc really starts to ramp up. So I'm really excited to see what we get from Drive Knight in the future. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this chapter and how it made you feel about Drive Knight. That's gonna be it for this one though. Have an absolutely wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, whatever. Love you guys like always, and I'll see you guys in the next one.